So this is my mom, Susan, and I'm going to interview her about her work experience working on Wall Street in the early 1970s. So what exactly was your job?
I was hired as a sales assistant on the New York trading desk, and my job was basically to assist the 8 other male salespeople on the desk.
Okay, and how would you define a hostile work environment?
Hostile work environment is one in which discrimination actually, or sexual harassment actually prevents, in this case, a woman from being able to be successful on her job.
And what was your work environment like?
My work environment was very hostile. I would say that I was grossly undermined from the day I walked into the firm. Constantly had to prove myself by surpassing expectations, defending myself against unwanted gestures, unwanted sexual advances, constantly having to hold my ground between my accounts and myself in terms of in terms of compromising situations. I was offered the chance to make a lot more money if I would sacrifice some of my integrity in order to keep my customers happy.
Um, how are you treated differently from the men that you worked with?
It's a long process. At first, I was really held back for any chances of advancement. I was hired as a sales assistant, and my role was to make money for the other salespeople on the desk by being the liaison between them and their clients. It didn't take me long to realize that I could do the job myself, and I could be quite successful at it if I had been given the chance. When I asked my boss to promote me from sales assistant to salesperson, I was told very emphatically, quote, as long as I'm the sales manager of this desk, there will never be a female salesperson in this firm. Which obviously, by today's standards, would be completely illegal. Yeah.
And how did the men that you work with treat you?
The men that I worked with, don't forget it was 1974, so that was quite a long time ago. They never treated me as an equal at all. They were very demeaning. They would always ask me to go fetch the lunch for everybody on the desk. Sometimes they would ask me, my superiors would ask me to take time off and go shopping for presents for their wives or their mistresses. They used to constantly pick my brains to see if I was actually intelligent or if I were just another, cute little face. And so I think I always had to prove myself, which is something that the men really never had to do. They also, it was a boys' club at the time in the 70s. Wall Street was, as I said before, predominantly male. And so it was like big yuck yuck. There was lots of conversation about the other women in the office, and it was always very demeaning kind of conversation about female breasts, or look at this one, look at that one. They would talk about their conquests over the weekends, and they had very little consideration of my feelings, as a woman, and obviously not one of the gang.
Did you ever tell them about that? Did you ever speak up?
I did quite well at the time, and I was pretty happy with the progress that I had made. So I carefully chose my battles. I had a very thick skin. I kind of rebounded from, pretty much everything they threw my way. It wasn't as important to me as, just the sense of personal achievement. So I used to let their comments or their actions go over my head unless they physically touched me. And there were times that...
Did they?
Yeah, there were times that people tried to, grab me at the Xerox machines, or, they would try to look up my desk. I mean, they would look, like from under my desk. They would be looking up my skirt. I mean,
That's
sometimes
horrible.
men could be kind of animalistic in the way they approach women, especially, 30, 40 years ago. But, there were times when they would use alcohol as an excuse for being out of control. If we were out drinking, which we did quite frequently because we were entertaining accounts, if we were out drinking, they would come on sexually to me, either in the bar or during cab rides. And it was always a very delicate balance because I had to keep the relationships going, but obviously I was not going to compromise on my, sense of values and ethics. So it was always a balancing act that I had to carefully, control.
Okay. Well, thank you for sitting down for this interview.
Oh, you're welcome. Is that it? I was prepared for much longer.
All right. Thanks, Mom.
I don't know how that went.